So a block of wood wedged in there. It's gonna keep it down, tilt it down, and then once the back tires get on, it's gonna go back down, and we can pull that block out. Is it too much?
There, I'll kick it out.
I can go back a little bit.
Oh, shit. You got it, what? Are you on the foot?
Loading this truck up, damn, slid off the trailer. All the way to the end, once it hit this diamond plate, there's a bunch of oil right here. The tire spun and just slid straight off. You use a skid steer to lift up the rear end and put it back on the trailer. Leaking brake fluid. Must have busted my caliper. Never mind, it's probably an axle seal since the whole truck was like that for a long time. That seal probably needs to be redone.
Yeah.
But we'll see if we can get this thing to slide.
You're good to push. Come on with it. Come on, come on. Come on. Come on. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. Come on. Push that thing. Right? Right there. I'll tell you what. Push it over, just push it just a little bit more so when you pull it out, it might drag it back a touch. Just a touch. Come on. Alright, that's good.
I was going to say,
yeah.
find a 2x4 or something and set it between those boards underneath it. That tire.
So most of y'all don't know that when I brought this truck back to my house from the shop, I had to load it on a trailer because, you know, I couldn't drive this thing to my house from the shop. And this truck actually fell off of the trailer when we were trying to load it. And it was pretty scary when it happened because this truck is only held on by a couple tacks. Because the small little tacks right here is pretty much the only thing keeping this truck from falling one way or the other. But unfortunately, since this 6-speed right here needs its trans pulled, I figured we'd try to start working on the lifted truck again. There are 3 main things to do to the front of this truck to make it actually solid and drivable. One being actually getting the right steering setup, because this one right now, I borrowed it to get this truck to my house, to put it on a trailer, get it to my house. It's just not gonna work. The drag length needs to be a lot longer because this truck is lifted so much. The second thing is gonna have to be a track bar setup, because right now, like you guys saw, I don't have it tacked in because I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do the track bar yet. And then 3, I need to slim down this cross member because it is massive. And then actually 4, I talked about it in a previous video, I need to do a sway bar setup on this thing as well. That won't take any time at all. It should be pretty easy. So the steering setup should be pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. I just have to buy a kit that works for like a 9-inch lift. That right there is not gonna take any brain power to do. Now the track bar on the other hand, Let me show you guys what I'm thinking. You guys already know that this track bar setup is just tacked in. This is kind of the design that I was gonna go with, but this track bar is just in the way. I was actually probably gonna mount it to, I was gonna bolt it to like here, but then the pitman arm would hit. So this idea would be scrapped, but really I need to trim down this cross member before I figure out how to do the track bar bracket on the driver's side. So let me show you guys the passenger side. This mount right here is where the original track bar would go. And of course I have the track bar in there right now, but this mount right here is not gonna work for the setup that I have. So what I'm wanting to do is, I don't need these bump stops anymore. They're not gonna be used. So I've seen a lot of pictures and actually people building and selling track bar mounts where they mount right to this bump stop right here. And I'll show you guys a picture on the screen of what I'm thinking. I'm pretty sure I can just go ahead and mount that right here. I'll have to cut off a little bit right here because I'm not gonna need that. But I figured I can mount this side of the track bar bracket right to this bump stop. I guess the bump stop would be up here, but this is like the landing for the bump stop on the stock suspension. The mount for the passenger side can actually get welded right to this bump stop landing, and that will send the track bar pretty much in line with the axle. Now when it comes right in line with the axle, it's pretty much lined up with the coilover. So for this side, I'm thinking about this kind of mount, which I'll put on the screen right here. Once this cross member is out of the way, I think I can probably weld that mount to this plate right here. This plate is for my coilover tower. And I think that might get me right in line with that other mount that I can just use some DOM tubing. I won't have to do any bending to it. I'll just have to weld on some Heim joint ends. It might fit, it might not, because I'm not sure where the mounting point is gonna be, how far it's gonna be, and everything like that. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense of where my mind is at for everything that I need to do to this front end. The steering, like I said, is gonna be super easy. The tie rod is gonna be the same for pretty much all these trucks because the length has to be the same for the alignment. It's the drag length that goes up to the pitman arm that has to be longer than stock one, because even with a 8-inch drop pitman arm, I think that is, it still needs to be pretty long to make the steering setup work. And then the track bar, that's gonna take a little bit of brain power. Let me know in the comments below, do you think those products that I showed you the picture of, do you think that will work for how I need to do this, this track bar setup? And then also the cross member is just super ugly. I need to get rid of that thing and probably build a brand new one that's not in the way, that's slimmed down and doesn't look hideous like it is on this truck. So as you can see on this 4-wheel drive truck, look at how small that cross member is compared to the one on my lifted truck. It is so much smaller. Onto the back of this truck. I made this flatbed just for a YouTube video, so this flatbed isn't getting kept. I've said it in multiple videos that I want to build a flatbed for this thing. So the back of this truck will have a built flatbed. I'm thinking about getting one of those kits. I think it's called Double Diamond. They send you out, you know, the back plate and a couple other pieces for the headache rack, and have to go to a steel plant and get the rest of the steel to make it. I think that'd be pretty cool to do a build your own kit. But also for the rear end, I have no shocks yet. So this truck has 6-inch lift leaf springs from Skyjacker with the stock block. The rear of this truck is still lower than the front. So it has a little bit of a squat. So I have to measure the stock blocks and see what size they are, and then possibly have to buy some taller blocks for the back to lift the rear end up. And then for the shocks, obviously stock shocks aren't gonna work in this thing. So I'll have to see how much this rear end is lifted and buy the shocks accordingly to that lift size. And then also the bags for the back. I have to either build or get a pedestal for the bags to sit, because now they're going to be higher, and that bag setup is meant for stock height and it's just not going to work. So a lot of work needs to get done to this lifted truck to get it back on the road. I've already said it before, I want to know you guys' opinion on the track bar setup, because that's one of the major things that needs to get done for this truck is a track bar setup. So let me know if those pictures are gonna work for the setup that I need. I've seen pictures online and people do the exact same thing. I'm about 75% sure that it will work, but let me know in the comments below. Thank y'all for watching. I need to pull the transmission out of this truck right here, so you'll see that in the next video. And then maybe once I get that transmission shipped off, we can start working on the lifted truck again. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Dippin' Diesel out.